the Lord, "What should I do with these people? In a little while they will stone me." The Lord answered Moses, "Go on ahead of the people and take some of the elders of Israel with you. Take the staff that you struck the Nile with in your hand and go. I am going to stand there in front of you on the rock at Horeb. When you hit the rock, water will come out of it, and the people will drink." Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel. He named the place Massah and Meribah, because the Israelites complained and because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" So how many times do we ask that question? Is the Lord among us or not? And again, we see that he named that place so that they could remember. At Rephidim, Amalek came and fought against Israel. Moses said to Joshua, "Select some men for us and go fight against Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the hilltop with God's staff in my hand." Joshua did as Moses had told him and fought against Amalek, while Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. While Moses held up his hand, Israel prevailed, but whenever he put his hand down, Amalek prevailed. When Moses' hand grew heavy, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat down on it. Then Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and one on the other, so that his hands remained steady until the sun went down. So Joshua defeated Amalek and his army with the sword. The Lord then said to Moses, "Write this down on a scroll as a reminder and recite it to Joshua. I will completely blot out the memory of Amalek under heaven." And Moses built an altar and named it, "The Lord is my banner." He said, "Indeed, my hand is lifted up toward the Lord's throne. The Lord will be at war with Amalek from generation to generation." So can you picture that scene unfolding? So the next picture that's up there is really kind of how I have pictured it over this past week, although I was looking at it from the front side, but just found this photo, and I just pictured him up on this hill, right, and sitting on a rock. And I see this battle going on down below, and the dust and the sound of, swords and metal on metal, and probably yelling and screaming, and just this picture of Moses keeping his hands raised. And then when he lets them down is when they begin to lose the battle. So he has friends that come around him to help lift up his hands when he doesn't have the strength. And so I think through this, or I've been thinking through this past week, and how do we apply that? What does that look like in our life? We are challenged by different battles and different struggles during our week, and if we let our guard down or we let our focus fall from being on the Lord, where does that leave us during our week? And so how do we maintain those thoughts and that focus on the Lord? Well, that's where the banner comes into play. So we're big hockey fans in our house. We love watching UNO hockey play, and in the arena there's banners around the rafters, and you've probably seen them at other stadiums and stuff like that. The different banners are there to maybe remind us, that the Huskers did win a championship 20 years ago, when we tend to forget that we used to be good, right? But banners are meant to bring us back, to give us focus, to let us see that the battle, is not ours necessarily to fight, that the Lord has already won the battle, and that our battles are his battle. And that's what that banner is there for, is to remind us of that. And so, even as we go out throughout the week this week, notice the different banners that are out there. There's a lot that, until I started kind of preparing for this week, and they might be, voted number one in Omaha, or maybe it's just a simple banner that says open, right? But it's meant to draw us in, and that's really what the Lord wants to do for us and with us, is to draw us in. The other part of this story is that sometimes we can't do it on our own. So there's times where we don't have the strength. I don't have the strength every day. I get weak. I can't always lift my hands up to the Lord, even though that's in my heart to do that. But whatever it is that gets me down during the week, it just starts to wear sometimes. And that's where we need the friends like Moses had, Aaron and Hur, to lift up his hands in the battle. So a couple weeks ago, I was out at the cloisters on the Platte, and they have the Stations of the Cross out there. And as I was walking around, it was like the third or fourth station, and I don't know where that's actually added in the story, but there was another person, whether it was a Roman guard or somebody, that was under one side of the cross as Jesus was carrying it. And it wasn't the story of Simon at Cyrene, it was before that. And so I didn't look it back up, but to me, I'm thinking through that, and I'm like, man, even Jesus accepted help. Even Jesus, maybe he didn't need it, but as a human, he did need that help because of the weight of the cross. And I think about how difficult sometimes it is to ask for help. I want to view myself sometimes as maybe stronger than what I am, or maybe, people have different expectations of who we are or how we should be or how we should act. And so sometimes we don't want to ask for help because that might make us look different than how we want to be portrayed. So, in this story, when we think about Jesus and the Passion Week, even Jesus accepted help. The other side to that is I don't foresee that Moses and Aaron and Hur had this big discussion up on the hill there of hey, I need some help, or hey, what do you think about if you hold my hands up? There wasn't this discussion about, how do we move forward with this, right? It was Aaron and Hur saw the battle that was going on. They saw that when Moses lowered his hands, that they started to lose. And they saw that, it wasn't just a 1-hour battle. It talks about in there that it went on till, the evening. And so this is hours upon hours in the heat of the day. And so Aaron and Hur noticed that Moses needs help. And so they went over and they gave him a place to sit, and they held his hands up for him. So I think that's a challenge for us too, as we are in relationships with family or friends or those here at church. If we see somebody that might be struggling, or that, might not have the strength right now, that it's our job to go and help raise their hands. Sometimes we don't even have to ask. We just have to go and do it. Because sometimes when we ask, we get turned down, right? So maybe it's just doesn't have to be an in-your-face kind of help. It can just be present with somebody, listen to somebody, ask them a question. And so that's one way that we can move forward in helping one another. So I think about, kind of what I was talking about before, of the different struggles that we encounter during the week. And one of them for me, is in discussions. And, I let my pride get in there big time. And I don't like to lose. So I'm competitive. And if you know Nikki, you know that she's competitive. And so that's not always a good mesh, but, iron sharpens iron, right? So, but, I just think about the times where she says, this is an attack from the enemy. This is dumb. And so we both take a step back and we realize that the Lord is our banner. And so if you want to go to the picture of the different banners. So I talked about, Baxter Arena, so a couple of hockey ones up there. The Omaha, voted number 1 in Omaha. And then I've got kind of 2 in the middle there. And the top one is, if you can't see it, it's the military, and they've got their Nebraska flags up. And then the next one down is actually, my family was, for a family reunion, we went to the Wahoo Parade. And so we had a banner held up that said, McMaster Family Reunion. So what are some other things that banners do? You see them a lot when military comes home, and they're meant to commemorate or to welcome home. They're meant to show who we belong to. And so as we go out into our weeks, what is the banner that is over us? Nikki prayed this morning about, the banner of love or of peace or the Lord. What banner is it that people see over us as we go to school or go to work or are with our families? Or do they see a banner? Maybe there isn't one. So for me, just been really thinking about that. What is the banner that I walk into work with? Is it one of love? Is it one of peace? Is it one of I'm here for you? What does that look like as we spend time with our families? It's easy to let our guards down sometimes, right? And maybe our true self comes out, and that's a whole different story and something that we need to work on. But what does our family see when we're in relationship with them? Is it the love of the Lord? Is it peace? Or again, is it that pride that is easy to let come in? So this morning, that is our one point this morning, and that is, as we go into this week, what is the altar that we want to build today to remember the Lord as our banner? So going through just a quick side note, I'm going through a book, and I was asked the question. I was asked a question about the last sermon that I gave, and I was asked to remember what it was. What were the points that you gave? And I couldn't remember what the points were. So, right? So if I can't remember what the points were, how can I expect anybody else to remember what the points were? So I just have this one point this morning, and it really is my heart's desire that as we enter our weeks, that we try to do things differently than maybe what we've done before. It's so easy to continue to do things the same way and expect different results, right? But how do we do things differently? How do we remember that the Lord is our banner in the scenarios that we encounter? And I think utilizing the things that we see every day, like I said, the banners that we see during our week, let those be a reminder, like, oh yeah, we just talked about banners. The Lord is my banner. How am I interacting with those that I come into contact with? Make sense? Easy to remember? I think I can remember this one, and I have a pretty bad memory. So yeah, the Lord is our banner, Jehovah-Nissi. So this morning, as we close, we're going to close with a song, and if it's all right with you, Mary, I'm going to put you on the spot, but can we pray for you this morning? Mary has been struggling with her sciatic nerve this week, and so if a couple people can just, come over and pray for her and pray for healing, and then, as we get towards the end, if you need prayer for something, raise your hand or come up front, and we'll gather around and pray for you. So, you ready, Steph? All right.